Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to explain what public information I'm posting in the description box to my videos so you can understand why I'm publicizing my artery scan reports. Stay tuned. My name is Simon. I'm in my late 50s, born and raised in the UK. These days I live in the United States. I'm going to be talking about a lot of different health issues on my channel, but a big focus will be trying to prevent heart attacks and strokes, the #1 killer of men and women in the world, and the #1 chronic disease that maims people for life. Something like 1.6 million Americans will have a stroke or a heart attack in any given year, and the split is about 50-50. 50% will have a stroke, 800,000, 50% will have a heart attack. So one of the things that I'm doing that is different about my YouTube channel than most is I'm publicizing in the description box every artery scan I've ever had done. Because you can get scans done of your neck arteries, your carotid arteries, to directly assess your risk of having a stroke. And you can get coronary scans done of your heart arteries to directly assess your risk of having a heart attack. And my favorite scan is the one of the neck. It's called a carotid intermedia thickness scan. The reason it's my favorite is there's no radiation. So you can get this scan done, it's an ultrasound of the neck, as often as you like to check your progress or lack of progress in assessing cardiovascular disease. In the description box, you will find PDF files to all of my scans. I've done CT angiogram, the most comprehensive coronary artery scan. I've done a coronary artery calcium scan and several of these CIMTs. So if you just want to look at what these reports look like, go into the description box, click on the links. You can view the files online. You could even download them, print them off if you like, so you can get a sense of what these scans actually report. Now, there's going to be some topics on my channel that I'm going to need to self-censor in order to not run afoul of certain social media overlords that would otherwise perhaps like to ban certain people from talking about things. I do use peptides, and that's going to be one of the areas where I'm going to need to talk about it on another forum. So I have a Substack newsletter. It's free. You can go to simonthebiohacker.substack.com, sign up for a free account, sign up for the free newsletter, and you can private message me through that platform if you have any questions specifically that maybe I don't address in the comments on the YouTube channel. So do go sign up for the newsletter, simonthebiohacker.substack.com. One of the things that I want to focus on my channel is this concept of regressing artery plaque. Once you've got established coronary or carotid artery disease, plaque in the arteries, ideally we want to be able to regress it, or at least slow down its progress. And I've documented that between June of 2025, when I was 57 years old at the time, I had a CARDIORISK CIMT scan done that was quite concerning. You can go to the description box and download it, you'll see what I mean. And then 7.5 months later, you can download another scan that I had done in February of 2026 and see the difference. Prior to getting these CARDIORISK CIMT scans done, I had a CT angiogram done in May of 2024 that showed a little bit of plaque, but nothing too excessive, nothing that would overly worry me, something that I knew I needed to stay on top of, but it wasn't of great concern. And so what happened in June of 2025 when I got my first CARDIORISK CIMT scan done, the ultrasound of the neck, it was quite a shock because the results on that scan were a lot worse than of my heart scan, showing that I was discordant in risk. In other words, I was at greater risk of having a stroke than a heart attack. And that's the first important point that I want to make, is that even if you're getting these coronary scans done, whether it's a CT angiogram or coronary artery calcium scan done, you really need to get a CIMT scan done of the neck too. Don't assume that, let's say you have a good result on your coronary scan, therefore your carotids are clear, because my carotids were a lot worse. And given that CIMTs, non-invasive, no radiation, inexpensive, you just go to cardiorisk.com, you can register for a scan, don't need a prescription. It's just common sense that you would get a scan done to directly correctly assess your stroke risk. So you can see why I got spooked in June of 2025, my first CARDIORISK CIMT scan. It showed that at the age of 57, I had an artery age of a 78-year-old. My intermediate thickness was 0.92 millimeters, which correlates, as I just said, to the arteries of a 78-year-old, 21 years older than I actually was. My early event risk number was elevated at 1.8 because 1.0 is the baseline reference risk, and my average max CCA region was 1.07 millimeters, registered as high risk. My plaque burden, as you can see, 3.1 millimeters, high risk. Now, there is a separate video. You go back and look at my earlier videos where I did a detailed walkthrough of how to interpret these CARDIORISK CIMTs, so feel free to check that video out. But they basically give you these 4 different risk factors. So when I got that scan report, I immediately went into what do I need to do to halt this, because I do not want to have a stroke or a heart attack. It's kind of a proxy for a heart attack risk, but a direct risk of a stroke. So I went about a whole protocol, putting it together, and you can see that in February 2026, I had regressed my risk in all 4 areas. My artery age, just 7.5 months after getting the scary scan, had dropped to that of a 73-year-old. My intermediate thickness had dropped to 0.86 millimeters. My early event risk had dropped to 1.5. It was previously 1.8 7.5 months earlier. My average max CCA region in February of 2026 was 1.02. Still high risk, but lower than the number in June of 2025. And my plaque burden had dropped 2.8 millimeters, down from 3.1 7.5 months early. In other words, regressing my risk in all 4 areas that CARDIORISK track as risk. Bearing in mind that atherosclerosis is something that builds up over many years, many decades. So it's not particularly normal to see that kind of risk regression in just 7.5 months. And I'm not saying this to wag my own tail. I'm saying it because I want you to be encouraged. Because if you ever get one of these scans done and the numbers don't look great, I want you to be able to come to my channel, maybe get some ideas, some tips that you can perhaps implement in your own life and regress your risk. Because my attitude is strokes and heart attacks are entirely preventable if you put in place all of the necessary mechanisms to regress your risk. And to be clear, the necessary mechanisms are first and foremost diet and lifestyle. I eat a pescatarian, Mediterranean style, plant-centric diet, meaning it's not vegan. I don't eat any meat of any kind. It's not an ideology. I just want to avoid saturated fat as much as I can, so I'll eat fish instead of meat. I'll eat a lot of plant material, fiber, vegetables, fruit. I tend to stick to the fruit that is low in glycemic value. I also do take medications, supplements, and peptides. I'm a big fan of the GLP-1 agonists. I don't need to lose weight. It's not what I'm talking about. I think these are longevity compounds. And I can get into a lot of the details of all this moving forward, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what my channel is, where I'm coming from. This is about me documenting my health results and showing you the evidence. There's a lot of folks online that will try talking about plaque regression and they never post any scans of their own. There's a lot of public figures, prominent people with huge followings that have ideas around diet and LDL and cholesterol, and you ask them where their scans are and they disappear. They don't want to tell you. You can always compare them to mine. You can go, look, Simon puts all of his scans in the description box. So that's one of the things I wanted to be different about my channel compared to these much bigger public figure channels. If you ever have any questions, it's as simple as drop a comment, ask me a question. I will get back to you. If it's anything personal you don't want to put on the public forum, again, go over to Substack, simonthebiohacker.substack.com, sign up for my newsletter, and you can send me a direct private message through that platform. So I hope you enjoy my content. It's going to be fun. I like to keep things lively. There'll be certain reaction videos. I'm a big believer in low LDL, low ApoB for as many years as possible. That is essential. Insulin sensitivity is also essential, keeping inflammation down. So enjoy the content, and I will see you in the next video.